Becoming steadfast, choosing a new future. Once upon a time, there was a nomadic band of sailors known as the Electorate of the Small Sea, but they had a problem. They were tired of spending their days adrift. They wanted to settle in a place where their vision for a good life could take root and grow. So, they sent out scouts to explore surrounding towns and villages in the hope of finding somewhere ideal for them to reside. The scouts walked inland, moving far left of the small sea, and after a long march, they came to a town called Manifesto. As the scouts approached the town, they noticed a smell of something rotten within. There were several leaders in Manifesto. Though different in minor ways, all were committed to lavish spending, leading to massive debt. The largest district of Manifesto was ruled by Prince Pompo, the son of a past king. He had beautiful hair and loved to wear ornate clothing from far-off places, but his outward style hid a troubling emptiness. To those he favored, Pompo spoke of love for diversity and inclusion, but his actions showed he hated those who thought differently from him. He especially disliked those who chose freedom and responsibility over his token gifts and desire for more power. And when he learned that the scouts were members of the Electorate of the Small Sea, he sought to exclude and discriminate against them. Seeing they were not welcome, the scouts continued on their journey. Doubling back through the political wilderness, they followed the banks of a large swamp that connected Manifesto to a place called Torytown. The scouts immediately saw that Torytown was well established, and the residents of the town were friendly. They told the scouts that any electorate of the small sea would be welcome, but the residents also cautioned the scouts about their leader, Mayor Milquetoast. They admitted he had vision problems. In fact, his vision was so weak he had to grab the coattails of others and be led in the direction they had set. Moreover, residents said that Mayor Milquetoast often condemned the actions of Prince Pompo, but his actions were seldom different. He railed against lavish spending, but changed the subject when asked what he would do differently. He was also willing to reward special groups in exchange for securing his own power. Worst of all, there were even times he refused to let his people speak on topics that concerned them. The scouts of the small sea scratched their heads and asked, but should he not fear the greater consequences of not speaking? It suddenly began to rain, and, recognizing the monsoon season was approaching, as it did every 4 years, the scouts decided to leave Torytown. After days of following the high road, they reached the top of the slope and saw an open field alive with activity. A community of people were working on the construction of a brand new village. They bid the scouts welcome and asked if they'd also come join in the effort. They were creating a new village, unwavering in its hope, courage, and conviction. As such, it would be called Steadfast. In Steadfast, the old freedoms of thought and speech would be protected. Handouts would be discouraged for the harm they do to industriousness and personal responsibility. The rights of each person would be the same, and, most importantly, hard discussions and decisions would not be avoided for fear of offense. What the scouts of the small sea heard from the Steadfast folk intrigued them. Upon their return, members of the electorate gathered ready to listen to the scouts' report. The scouts first told of the land of Manifesto, with its deceitful Prince Pompo. All of the electorate concluded that Manifesto was no place for them. Next, the scouts described Torytown and the construction of Steadfast. A heated discussion ensued amongst the electorate. A few among the electorate argued in favor of settling in Torytown. They liked the idea of having to work little while enjoying the benefits of an established place. They were willing to ignore the fact that the actions of Torytown's mayor were at odds with their values. However, the integrity of most of the electorate ran deeper than the waters upon which they had sailed. They rejected the choice of Torytown and voted in support of Steadfast. In a measured tone, a wise ship's captain stood and explained, "When I navigate the sea, getting close to my destination is not my goal. My goal is to get exactly where I need to be. Getting there takes work. Laziness leads to shipwreck." Many of the people of the electorate nodded, but a remaining handful scoffed at the ship's captain. "How dare you call us lazy," they said. "We are realists, that's all. Steadfast is still building, and we need a home today." At that, a young mother stood up. Standing straight with her shoulders back, she said with passion, "Clearly, building success is not so much a matter of time, but a matter of conviction. If we were faced with two unsavory choices, we would be right to choose the lesser of the two evils. But we are faced with 3 choices, and the first 2 compromise our values. Only the third choice allows us to keep our heads high. Hard work I can bear, but not hypocrisy." Looking down at her child, she concluded, "Do we think that our children will have the desire to work for what is good when we have not set the example for them? Someday, our children will ask us, when you came to a place where you could work toward greater individual freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect, what did you do? And when that happens, we must be able to answer. We did not turn away. We became steadfast. And they all were, and they all did.